Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Last Night in Soho. And this movie is directed by Edgar Wright, who's made some really great movies before. And the ones that I have seen, I've really enjoyed for the most part. And this one was one that was just one of the ones that I haven't seen yet, as far as his later movies are concerned. And obviously, there are others that I haven't seen yet that were like pre Shaun of the Dead. But before I get into my thoughts on Last Night in Soho, I'm just going to talk about the films that he's made before. And I'll start out by saying I haven't seen an Edgar Wright movie in a while. I remember really enjoying Shaun of the Dead, and I love Hot Fuzz and The World's End. The Cornetto trilogy is great. Scott Pilgrim versus the World, I remember giving a 5 out of 10 or something. I just remember it being fine and not really connecting with it all too well, but I'm willing to rewatch it to see if my opinion will change on that. And Baby Driver, I remember having a great time with, and I would love to rewatch that movie as well. And this movie is kind of a departure from his previous movies. This one's more or less a murder mystery thriller type film with a bit of a supernatural element attached to it. And I was kind of curious, but also being cautious because I heard that both this and The Running Man are not that great. And it's more or less the point in time where Edgar Wright is officially started to slip as a filmmaker. He was once viewed as a really great filmmaker, and everyone had to know who this guy was. And now we've reached a point where, yeah, he's not as great as he once was. I don't know what happened, but this is what we got. And there's still good things in this movie. I thought the movie looked very nice throughout, and the acting was really good as well. And I did like how the city of London was depicted in this film. It's established that it's a place that you probably wouldn't want to be in, and it can be very dangerous and to some extent toxic. And I did like what this movie was trying to do visually at times. It was something a bit different, and I did like the stylistic choices that this film made, and I was able to appreciate it for those things. And the movie took a while for it to get interesting for me, but once we get to that first dream sequence, or whatever you want to call it, the first scene where we get Anya Taylor-Joy's character, that's when the movie became more interesting and entertaining for me. But unfortunately, I just found a lot of problems with this movie that I normally don't have with his other films. Like, the characters I found to be very weak and uninteresting, and I didn't care about any of them. And there's honestly some pointless characters in this film that don't need to be in this movie at all outside of the first scene that they're introduced in. And it just goes in many pointless directions, and I just was unable to connect with it. The story wasn't really doing anything for me. It was pretty weak, and honestly, I do feel as though this movie would have worked perfectly if it were a short film or just a TV episode that was like a half hour long, or maybe 40 minutes, but the pacing in this movie was pretty slow, and it took forever for it to get going, and I was not interested in much of anything that was happening in it. Every once in a while, we get something that's a little bit different and caught my attention for sure, but the overall package was just not something I could get into. It was just really boring and hollow for me. It was also very slow, and I wasn't scared by anything. I never once felt any tension for any of these characters. There was some pretty bad CG blood at times that was kind of distracting for me, and there was a point where things are supposed to be a bit more tense, and I never once felt that way. I just felt as though it was just wasting time, and honestly, the third act of this movie was pretty stupid and unnecessary overall. Like, it didn't really need to go in that direction, and honestly, if they didn't do that, I think I would have enjoyed the movie more. And this movie got incredibly repetitive after a certain point. Like, not even 30 minutes in is where I started to feel the repetitive nature of the film. It was just the same thing happening over and over again. Weird characters just being either weird or unlikable. On top of that, there were some weird music choices. We had a licensed song playing, and on top of it was the score for the film. And I just found that to be a very bizarre choice. Like, why are you doing that? Just do one or the other. Have the song play or just have the score play. Not both. And about, I would say, 40 to an hour in the movie, probably closer to 40 minutes, I began to think, man, this is just a worse version of Midnight in Paris. Like, that movie offered me way more than anything this movie had going for it, and I just wish that I was watching that over this, and overall, this movie kind of just felt like a huge swing and a miss, and I didn't really take away much from it. There were aspects that I appreciated, but overall, kind of boring, and just didn't really do much, and it took forever for things to get going, and it was just very slow and not something I was able to enjoy too much. And for about, I don't know, the first 90 minutes, it was like, okay, this is like a low 5 out of 10, but the last act brought it down a point, so yeah, quite disappointed from the ride of this movie. So with all that being said, I'm going to give Last Night in Soho a 4 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you thought of Last Night in Soho, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for another Edgar Wright film, that being The Running Man from 2025. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.